this is our final project. My name is Zhou Yingning. This is our group member.
Hi, I'm Hong Yusui.
Hi, I'm Zhao Wangli.
The musician we choose is Claude Debussy. His piece of work we choose is Prelude to Afternoon of a Fall. Classic music has been a part of society for a long time and has transitioned from one generation to another over time. These are different composers of classic music, and one of famous composer is Claude Debussy. He was active from 819 to 1910s. He is a French pianist and composer who was born on August 22 in 1882. Has significant influence in French music during 20th century and the 19th century. Music training played a significant role in his perfection in the art. He started musician lesson in Cannes in 1870 at his paternal aunt's home, where they were living after fleeing Paris to avoid the effect of Franco-Prussian War. Um, the to get better at the music, he required expertise of an experienced musician. Italian violins was involved in Debussy's initial piano lessons in eight. In 1870 for 1 year. Debussy was also introduced to a teacher known as Mary Mount the Flower. Um, the lesson poetry, his willingness to learn, and the talent, and start his musician journal at a young age. Uh, in the in 1872, he was enrolled at the Paris Conservatory, where he would be for 11 years. During his time at conservatory, Debussy studied different things about music, such as music history, organ, and composition. Um, he start the this experience and exposure to music helped him with the to improve the skills and abilities in music. While still a student at Paris Conservatory, he met Nadaza Van Mack, who employed him to teach music to her children. The employment provided Debussy with an opportunity to make acquaintance, attend various concerts, and travel a lot. This provided him with great musician experience. An employer also exposed him to other Russian composers such as Mosky and uh, Borodin. Um, while at school, Claude aimed to pursue his music path. He always explored dissonant intervals and harmony that conservatory didn't approve. He was interested in the exploring more than what the institution taught, and this would help him to become unique composer who broke a few rules to find a sound he felt comfortable with. Um, he- uh, that which also impressed other listeners too. Um, in 1884, he secured the prestigious Prix de Rome through his cantata Infant infant prodigies, and then that the prize support 2 years further study in Roman. This enabled him to meet other culture and learn about different composition. The years of study at Rome were quite difficult to him because he needed to pursue a unique sound. However, the however the um, how, however um, uh, um, this year study at Roman were quite difficult for him because he needed to pursue a unique sound. However, the institution didn't receive his work well because he was fond of his unique ideas and his music felt a little bizarre. Bizarre. He was It was difficult from the type lesson and music taught at the institution, and they felt that he was deliberately ignored their teaching. However, the style formed the foundation of future styles of classic music. In the year 1888 to 1889, Debussy experienced a garden culture force of Wagner opera, and this had a great impact through his composition. Most composers and musicians required people who believe in them, especially if they are experienced with different styles and pieces that seems unpopular. Um, Eric Satie greatly supported the experience piece by Debussy. It's encouraged him to continue experience with different ideas and influence from other composers.
Debussy later developed from the Bohemian people a period. However, he formed friendships during the period with influential people such as the reputable Persian musicians and readers such as Trujan, Melomy, and Sade. The different influence and support formed a foundation for his success and gave him courage to continue the pursuit of his path. In 1894, he had a successful primary of the word Prelude a Lapris Midi Fang, as also known as Prelude to the Afternoon of a Fang. It was a revolutionary work and portrayed his abilities as a composer and reader. It was a revolutionary composition that showed the mastery of his compositional voice. It also set the foundation for his success by making him popular among the audience and other composers. In 1895, he completed the seminal opera Police at Millicent that became a great sensation during its initial performance in the year 1902. The work had a greater reputation and enhanced the popularity and recognition of Debussy. They portrayed a forward-looking style of composition and established him as a leader in French music in the initial decade of the 20th, 20th century. His name became popular as a musical figure, and it also increased his musical influence. Debussy spent his later healthy years in contributing to the French musical society in various mm, capacities. He performed his works internationally, was a composer and a critic. Debussy died on March 25, 1918, after succumbing to depression as a result of the start of World War and colon cancer. The war interfered with his ability to perform at different venues around the world. Debussy's compositions were associated with the Impressionist movement. The Impressionist movement mainly started in France in the later 19th century and continued to the mid 20th century. The major focus of music impressionism was the atmosphere and the suggestion rather than the depiction of a story or strong emotion associated with other forms of music such as program music. Therefore, it provided suggestions and could change based on the exciting atmosphere. This this explains why most of the music by Debussy was influenced by his environment and the different people he met in the various places he traveled to. The focus on atmosphere and the suggestions is similar to that visual arts, which is a precursion of the Impressionist movement. Therefore, the movement may have expanded on the vision arts and incorporated it into music. Impressionism in music was a reaction to the exists in the Romantic era. Unlike the Romantic era that involved the extensive use of the minor and major score systems, Impressionist music utilized the more dissonance and other uncommon scores, such as the whole tone score. It shows the great difference between the previous music and Impressionist music. Music in the Impressionist era shows a level of experimentation and trying out new things that other composers in the past did not use. The other difference between the composers in the Romantic era and the Impressionist era is the form of music. Composers in the Romantic era utilized the long forms of music such as the concerto and the symphony, while the composers in the Impressionist era were more inclined to the short forms of music such as Arabic prelude and the nocturne. Most musical movements are associated with different composers. Some of the composers develop the styles, while others may decide to copy since they are compositing in the same era. The major composers in the Impressionist movement were Debussy and Marc Ravel. Despite being in the same movement, they had different approaches to their music. Ravel was methodical, whether Debussy were experimental and sensory. The expressionism of Debussy can be seen from the composition Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. One of the works that represent the creative output of Debussy is the Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. The composition premiered in the year 1894. The historical background of the chosen piece is based on the poem known as Midi Dong Fang by Stephanie Malami. Stephanie Malami was among the greatest innovators in French poetry, and his works contained complex images and symbols. The thought to represent the state of mind and express moods rather than talk about ideas and tell stories. The composition by Stephanie Malami made a good foundation for Debussy in the Impressionist period. Impressionism sought to express moods and not develop stories, and this makes the initial composition a good foundation for the Impressionist composition by Debussy. The initial job by Stephanie Malami was published in the year 1876, and Debussy turned the poem into music initially in the year 1884. Therefore, by the time Debussy was composing the piece, he had information about the initial composer.
Hello, my name is Zhang Li. So the composition has a great melody, harmonic, and texture, timbre, and form. The composition opens with a flute or solo that grabs the attention and most of the audience. It creates an emotional experience and appeal. The flute melody is also graceful. The melody soon moves from the flute to strings, harps, and horns. The composition is complexly organized in different motifs and music styles, and it reveals enough consuelates involved in the composition. The timbre of the music denotes the quality of the sound, and the composition by Debussy is of great quality. The good timbre remains consistent throughout the changes in the musical instrument and melody of the composition. Mm. The great, the great, the great harmony of the music is portrayed by the reinforcements with the mute strings, harp, and horns. There is also a great harmony floating in the composition. This form, this form of the, this form of the music is also difficult to predict, and this adheres to the unpredictable compositions by Debussy. The music does not proceed in a specific direction and remains very unspread. Mm, but the theme springs as the release and fall throughout the composition. It moves from one instrument to another in a style that seems experimental and characteristic of Impressionism. Texture involves how the different elements in music combine to develop a composite whole. The elements in the composition work together to ensure a beautiful piece. The seamlessly weaves into each other. Mm, the instrument and sound are high or low and creates a blend of solo instrument on the archless background too. Mm. This piece was a great composition and marked the start of the popularity of Debussy. By composing the piece, Debussy powered his artist's life and ability to uh, develop, develop a composition that can capitalize the attention of the audience. It was also a depiction of a relaxation of the dreams. Every music hopes of realizing dreams of developing a better reputation among the other musicians and the audience. The population of the composition by Debussy by marked the realization of the dream too. He explained the composition was a success of success that portray dreams and the dreams of having composition in the onwards. Therefore, it marked the realization of his dreams through population and set a foundation for the population of his impressionist movement. The First World War have an advancing fight on class music. Some composers got scarred by the war and others whose careers was destroyed because of limited ability to perform. Debussy, for example, suffered depression associated with the war. The composition was therefore an important part to build his reputation before the war started. It marked a historical importance by being a great composition um, just before the start of the war. Therefore, the people who had heard classical music just before the war could have a realization of the importance and understand the progression of the movement after the war. Prelude to the Afternoon of the Faun by Debussy was essential in showing the ability of people to believe in themselves and create great music without following the rules set by other composers. It shows the importance. It shows the importance of imperativeness with the sound in developing movement in class music. Mm, the chosen piece was important in showing the composition ability of Debussy. The song is meaningful because it pushed Debussy into the international limelight. It also simulated his piece in praised the moment as successful classic music composer. Composition composer, the active engagement in piece made me understanding the importance of considering every aspect of music composition in class music. Claude Debussy is among most popular class music composers and is associated with the Impressionist movement. The audience portrays his composition abilities and the importance of experimentation in developing sounds that can help to change the future of the music. So this is our project in. So thank you very much. Bye bye.